So, if I get this correctly, Roger, you were able to cross streams by going through the internet cable towards the USA and had a skiing vacation with Mike in near area Chicago. Where was it again, Mike? Because there was still snow there, and you preferred that before doing any stuff for our Voidcast Live server. Man, that's a convoluted story.
I'm gonna go with yes.
Yes, okay. I think that's always the right answer when we start this show.
Except you should never cross streams, but
we should never cross. Oh, that's. Yeah, there you go, having the memes and the tropes and everything already in place. I think this is going to be a wonderful show, don't you think, Mike?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me as well. Roger probably isn't though, because he's very serious.
Never excited for the show.
See,
I'll let you host this time. I mean,
oh, that's fine then.
Yeah, okay.
We were just talking sarcasm. Welcome, Mike.
Here.
Yeah. So, hello everybody in chat. Welcome to Talking Void, where no introduction is ever the same. And this time we have our third guest on the show, and not just some guest. This is community champion Mike from GaryCon. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. It's me.
it's you, and it's so nice to have you on, Mike. We did a previous show on Careful Cantrip's channel. They are already here, and they just subscribed, so thank you for that. And there are a lot of them here. There are a lot of people here coming in as well. And we talked on their show about, everything, building campaigns, worlds, doing dungeon mastering and all that stuff. It was really fun. Now you're here, and I'm very glad you're here. I want to tell the people something about how I met you in a way, because I think that's a really cool story. We had a Talking Void episode, and I posted the question on Facebook, which is always a bit of a tentative thing, because, well, you know. And then this guy named Mike gave us one of the answers, which I really liked. For some reason, it doesn't pop into my head now, but I love the answer anyway. And then I messaged him that we would be using it on Talking Void, and then we started talking. And Mike is a really fun guy to hang out with. Fun guy, mushrooms, everything. And so, I'm really glad to have you on our show now. We have been talking for, I think over 2 months now to each other. And this is this day, everything will come to fruition, so to say. Hooray! Oh yeah, Roger is here too. Well, anyway.
Like already been talking for 2 months.
Yeah.
Also, our sounds are a bit low, I hear.
Our sounds are a bit low. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Mike and,
okay, here we go.
Oh, I can bring myself.
Yeah, no, it's okay now. It should be okay now. My dread is to play a Myconid. Yeah, that's why. Fungi, mushroom, everything. So before we go into the show, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. Hit that follow button, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give a like every now and then and a comment maybe. Start practicing, because we have an announcement later on. And we have all kinds of socials which can now be viewed through our Linktree/VoidcastLive Linktree. and that's easy, because then you can find it all on the same place. Man, chat is going so quickly. I'm wondering if I can keep up with when they have questions for us. There's the Linktree, cool. Then the other thing is that next Monday will be the 20th episode of the Precipice of Dreams, right, Roger?
Yeah, 20th.
20th, so that's cool. And then on Tuesday it will be another Jasper's Laboratory, and the week after that it will be on Monday it will be parallel projections, and then it's already time for Talking Void again. So that's our programming every 2 weeks. You can see it on the banner on Voidcast live on Twitch when we aren't live streaming. So that's all the things out of the way, I'm guessing, because I so want to jump into the show, but I can't because I keep on talking. That's the thing. So here we go into the official introduction video. Enjoy for about 20 seconds. See, here I go again. Start talking again.
Ooh.
Slow nods. Let's do some slow nods. We just practiced this, people.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So,
It's not
without
bad.
further ado, people, I have to say we have such a big announcement, and we can't believe that this is happening to us in a way. And well, it is through the contact I had with Mike. That seems like a silly, strange English sentence, but anyway, because I got in contact with him, and he said, well, why don't you do this and this and this? And then we said, can we? And then he said, yes, let's try. And then we filled in an application, and then we waited for quite a while, and we were very nervous for a very long time. But for now, I can show you this. Let's go to our big screen. The big answer screen, where Mike is even bigger than me and Jasper. Do you see?
Because I'm big in the Netherlands.
You're big in the Netherlands, yeah. But here it comes. Boom!
And there's... Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
We'll be live on GaryCon with an amazing adventure by our very own Dungeon Master, Roger. And, well, people, I can't express... how this feels. Can you express it, Roger?
I think pride comes close to it. We're proud and honored to be invited to get the chance to stream on GaryCon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, are we excited? That might be the best way to express. Yeah, I mean, when we got the news, we spent the whole morning just cheering in our WhatsApp group, and just I think you made random phone calls to everybody, Jasper.
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
Eric had to take a couple of hours from work because he was so excited and wanted to work on the stuff.
This. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about it a bit sooner, but first we have another announcement in connection with this, and that is that we will be joined by Rena from Careful Cantrip on this very special and strange adventure that will have all of your favorite characters in them. And this is a thing we did very consciously because we love our friends over at Careful Cantrip, and we invited Rena to join us because we think that will really add to the experience, and we call each other our buddies over the pond, and this is why we really wanted to do it together. So there will be a fifth character on this stream, which will be revealed another time because we really have to get there. Buddies across the pond, we love you, says Careful Cantrip in chat. So isn't that cute?
Yeah, we love you too.
Top Down Tabletop says, I'm super excited. Everybody's glad. Esner says, this is so amazing, really well deserved with all the hard work you put in into the quality content. Wow.
Thanks.
And even Valentine, and then
High
who
praise.
that is, says, yay. No, just joking, Mike. But
Full disclosure, I'm Valentine9K in the chat.
Yeah.
And to add to this, you of course want to know a date, and there we have it. We'll be live on GaryCon. Watch us on Sunday, the 28th of March, 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is p.m. Man, there we go. I got confused with the p.m. a.m. stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's hard.
yeah, it's hard. It's strange. But there you have it. Welcome. I hope we can welcome you to this show. And yeah, come and see us there.
I feel very welcome.
Yeah, well, nice of you to say so. So, Mike, can you tell us something about how this GaryCon this year came to be, and how you can buy a ticket, for example, and how you can join the GaryCon family, and maybe even tell some of our fans who might not know what GaryCon is, something about GaryCon in general.
Well, actually, first off, I'd like to say I'm very happy that you said the GaryCon family, because that's a concept that, as a community manager, I've been pushing for a while, because GaryCon really it feels like a family when we're all together. But this year actually came about as a conscious decision that we're not safe yet. GaryCon's held in the United States, and as many of the rest of the world knows, we're doing a terrible job trying to get this pandemic under control. So we knew that we wanted everyone to be safe, especially since GaryCon brings together some of the original creators of D&D, and many of them are in a danger category for getting sick. So we want to preserve them as long as we can. So this year actually comes as an extension of last year, because it was, I believe, 2 weeks before we were supposed to be having the physical con that the leadership decided that we were going to switch to a virtual con. And I will tell you, as somebody who's putting together a virtual con with a year of lead time, that's rough. And we switched it with 2 weeks to go, and it actually worked. And despite everything we could have expected, we pulled it off. So this year we're hoping to make it better. But GaryCon itself comes from a rather tragic loss, but a beautiful thing was born from it when one of the creators of D&D, E. Gary Gygax, passed away. They held there was a funeral, and there was kind of like an open gaming event, and everybody came together, and people came together that didn't know him, but were touched by his life and wanted to celebrate him. And in the process of having this event, people kind of said, we should do this again sometime. And one of the original people who worked on D&D, Jolly Blackburn, said, yeah, we could call it like GaryCon, which apparently was a convention in his Knights of the Dinner Table world for people who pick up that comic book at game shops. And Luke Gygax, Gary's son, not knowing any better, was like, yeah, let's do that. It sounds fun. And so GaryCon was born. And years later, we've grown, and we're a destination convention for people from all over the world, and it's a great place to be. But this year, our destination's online, and we're hoping to give people as great of an experience as we can in that space.
Yeah, well, and well deserved, I think, because the way you're a community leader, a community champion. I keep saying leaders for some reason, but you're a community champion, and you're great at reaching out. That I can certainly say about
thank you.
How you do this. And we felt really welcome in that regard when that happened. And I think some of us I think I watched a bit of GaryCon 11 or 12, I think, or videos that were released afterwards.
Yep. On our YouTube.
Yeah, and I really liked that because, I saw some of my heroes. I think I could call them my heroes. And I said, wow, that's so cool. Wonder if I could ever be there someday. Probably not. Well, maybe not so probably then, not then. And that's just great how that came to be. So how does it work? How do you get into GaryCon, which is called Ethereal GaryCon 13?
Well, you can go to play.garycon.com, and you can pick up a badge there. And from there, you can submit events, or you can just attend if you'd like. And with that, I'm trying to think of the dates we have. The sign up for events, we currently have, I believe, over, I think, 500 or 600 events total that you can sign up for. And you can do anything from playing in games run by the Gygax family to playing in games that haven't even come out yet with a game system where they're just playtesting it, which is what I've done a few times. And attending it is done in a virtual space. We organize everything through Discord, but from Discord, it's up to each game master, storyteller, DM, whatever you go by, to set the stage for where you're going to play. So, for example, Fantasy Grounds Unity is a great online virtual tabletop. And with a GaryCon 13 badge, you actually get 3 months free access to Fantasy Grounds Unity. So if you'd like to run your games on it, it's there and it's open for you. So it's a great opportunity to learn more about the virtual tabletop environments. We also have various other ways. I myself am very much lazy and not a fancy person, so I run my games using Google Slides because it's easy. I just give you a link and you can like co-edit and move your token around, and I can just throw in slides as necessary. But it doesn't have cool features. But again, I jokingly call myself lazy. So, and then, the rest of the con, we also have a huge, and you guys are a big part of this. We are expanding our streaming platform from, we had what I joked is 1.5 channels before to now I think we have 3 or 4. And we're hoping to run 24 hours of GaryCon, which you guys are contributing to. And with that, we're going to have events streaming all weekend. Everything from featuring people like Joe Manganiello or Jason Charles Miller or Satine Phoenix, who are some larger names in this gaming space, as well as some guy named Luke Gygax. I hear he's done stuff before.
I've heard
So we're going to have those channels, but we're also going to have painting by somebody who's big on TikTok by the name of Tabletop Santa. He does a lot of board game work and painting tutorials, and we're going to have all sorts of other things that we're going to be bringing in to see. So if you want to see what some of the epic encounters are, or you want to learn how to use Vorpal board, or you want to just anything, it's not just a gaming event, but it's a learning event, because I think we all want to improve our skills. We all want to level up.
And this is all through Twitch.
All of those events are going to be on Twitch, and then we're going to obviously going to put the ones that we can onto our YouTube, assuming that nobody accidentally uses copyrighted songs or something. And we're bringing in a lot of creators who are in the spaces to try and highlight the great work that people are doing in gaming all over the world, because it really is a wonderful space and it's grown so much over the years. And I think if anything we've learned in the last year is how much we all need each other, and how much fun it is to spend time with other people telling stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I for one, I'm so glad with how much the digital environment has developed in the last couple of years. Because if the pandemic had happened like 5-6 years ago, then it would have just meant no D&D for us, and I don't think I would be able to manage then. It's but this way we still have our regular D&D fix every week, and we have a chance to meet each other and hang out with each other and just enjoy playing our favorite games.
Yeah,
I'm an old school nerd because I've actually been playing online since 1997.
Oh wow. Well, that was text-based, I hope.
It was through forums on various websites.
Oh yeah, we did that for spell as well.
I had a large phase of airpol.net, which I don't know if you know it, but that was my I've roleplayonline.net. That's one I've been on there for like 8 years. Had pretty large adventures there. Well,
yeah, Discord's really been a lot.
I was active on there for 8 years. I have to say it that way. Yeah, I saw Roger frown. So
yeah, the 8 years sounded
short
enough. Yeah, short.
Yeah, and I liked what you said previously about that it gives away fantasy ground, but I'm raise DM, and I'm using Google for my maps and everything. And I think that's like a bit of the Dungeons and Dragons mentality. I think that you can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. It can all be theater of mind. Although it comes pretty in handy if you have a couple of dice. But well, the internet is there as well, and you can have elaborate setups with the most cool Dwarven Forge kind of things. What was that?
Those are my dice. I always have. Have dice on hand. If you ever need dice, they're always within reach for me.
Whole box. Yeah. So yeah, well, thank you for telling us something about that. And so Discord is the hub, so to say, and then there's all these kinds of other things they can do. So about these tickets, then, shall we talk about the tickets? Because
Absolutely.
We have you can win some. That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say a giveaway, but you can win some. You can win GaryCon 13 tickets. We have 2 to give away, thanks to Mike. And we have decided upon a way that we are going to give them away. So if you want one of these tickets, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitch, and then like and comment on episode 19 of the Precipice of Dreams on YouTube. You have to have a YouTube account because we have to get in contact with you to say that you have won, and then we'll make contact with Mike so that you can get your tickets. Am I saying it right, Mike?
Yeah. You just have to get in touch with me, and then they've got the info on that. Yeah.
So we will select the winners randomly and give these winners the info to contact Mike to redeem the tickets. That's what I already said. But you have to know that I thought about this. We are going for the random reason because we don't want you to write a whole new book about how cool everything is that we are doing, because that seems silly. But we do like the fact that you check out our channel for a while, and we do like our cool comments, but we can understand if you have little time. But on the other hand, the experience will be great because session 19 was a blast, and thanks to Rocher here, mostly, but thanks to the players somewhat as well. I hope, at least.
Yeah. That's why I had fun.
Yeah. So that's 2 tickets for GaryCon to give away. So what's chat saying? Commenting right now.
If I send you chocolates, Jasper, does that improve my chances?
Sending me chocolate will improve your chances, but not for a GaryCon ticket. But for a good and friendly bear hug, just Santon and On says nice. Commenting on YouTube. Okay, so that's going pretty well. Thanks for being such eager ticket wannabe winners, people in chat.
And thanks, Mike, for giving us a chance to hand out these tickets.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Happy to. Yeah, we're trying to spread the good word of GaryCon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so do we.
We are really trying. So
it's working in chat, please.
Yeah. Pass, says Herr Stevens. So now that I want to give you a hug, you're not sending me chocolate anymore? Man. Okay. Well, that's that part out of the way. Or out of the way. Not out of the way. It was kind of the coolest thing that has us adrenaline pumped for the last couple of weeks, I think. And we probably stay adrenaline pumped till the 28th of March because of stuff, which you can probably imagine. But let's go to the next question. That's a question for Mike. Let's talk some more about this. About Mike himself, in a way. But with Mike comes his own whole environment. And I wanted to ask you, so, what is it you do exactly, and how did you become what you are today?
Well, for GaryCon, I am the community champion, which is a title that I have to learn to live with. It was given to me as a joke, and I said I hate it, which was a mistake, because now I'm stuck with it. So What I do is I'm a hype man for GaryCon. I talk about the things that I enjoy. I communicate with everybody on all the social medias. I push out all the cool messages we have, and pretty much I'll talk to anybody who listens to me. So it's a big part of what I do. If you have any like customer service issues, things like that, I'm usually one of the people you'll talk to, and I am doing my best because I've actually only been in this role for about 3 months now. And prior to that, I'd created a Discord server for GaryCon as an unofficial Discord server, and about 4 years ago. And I thought it was just a fun idea because Discord was new to me, and I like the idea of having small communities where the people share an interest. And it stayed kind of small. I think our top was like we had 200 people at one point, and then with last year's switch to being virtual, all of a sudden Discord became a big deal. And since we helped successfully navigate it, they said, hey, this guy might know a thing or two, so maybe we should bring him on to help out.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up here. But I ended up in gaming many moons before that, back in second edition, and I've been doing it ever since. So yeah.
Yeah. So how did that connection come to be then? Because you were a Dungeons and Dragons player, did you just at a certain moment step into the GaryCon grounds and said, "Hey, I'm here. I can do this stuff for you," or did they invite you, or how did it come?
It was a weird thing. I used to be in journalism, and I was interviewing a gentleman by the name of Michael Whitwer, who did a book called Empire of Imagination, and it was a really interesting history of Gary Gygax's life, because a lot of stories have been written about gaming and D&D and especially the Satanic Panic and those kind of things, but nobody actually ever looked at Gary's life specifically. And so I interviewed him. We had a great talk. We talked a lot more after the interview was over. And one of the things that we talked about is he says, "Oh, well, I don't know if you know this, but they have a convention up in Lake Geneva, which isn't far from Chicago, where I live." He's like, "You should go up there." And so I didn't, I'd never been to a gaming convention and I didn't know what to expect. So I went up there as a volunteer, and I took the snack cart for the DMs and I just drove it all over, and I saw everything and I had a good time. And, I was helping everybody out, having fun. And I did it for years more, joined in a few games here and there, and, started making friends while I was there, and being around the staff who was running it. They got used to me, so that when the whole Discord thing came up, they're like, "Well, we actually know this guy and he's not a weirdo. So let's actually pay him to do his job." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I was like, I was having fun, but yeah, I mean, and it turns out that when you actually work for them, there's a lot more work involved.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Isn't there always?
Yeah.
So
that sounds awesome, man. That
sounds awesome. It's
doing what you love, and then being asked to do that as your work and getting paid for it. It's nice. That's a dream.
Plus, I get T-shirts, which is great. I can never go wrong with T-shirts with wizards on them.
Yeah, we only get mouse mats. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's such a cool mouse mat. So, if you are this guy from GaryCon, we know, Mike, that you're so much more than just a guy from GaryCon. I will never say otherwise. But we have someone from the inside in our stream right now, which is crazy. And so I phrased my next question like this, which isn't really a question, but it might be. Tales from the floor, or possibly Tales from the crypt? And the question should be, do you have any? Do you have any cool stories from GaryCon for us?
Well, my most recent cool story is I was running around the DM cart and I was helping everybody out, and I get to see everybody. And GaryCon, there's a bit of a secret that a lot of people who are gamers and famous come to GaryCon as guests and just attend secretly, so that it's not a big deal. And I was going through the halls, and all of a sudden this big dude turned a corner and I smashed right into him. And it turned out it was Joe Manganiello, who is a common player, or everyone's commonly known that he plays D&D. And he was on his way to his game. And so he asked me directions, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this, that, and the other, and trying to pretend that I'm not like, and I mean, the one thing I was trying to hold back is I just want to be like, man, you smell nice. Like, I want to be you. So, but yeah, it's things like that. I mean, you sit there and you're in a table and you look to your left and you have people who wrote the modules that you played as a kid, and they're playing and they're having fun, and the people, and it's multi-generational, because I go there and I see kids, I see young adults, I see people my age, I see people who've been doing this, long enough to have made a whole career out of it. And it's absolutely just amazing. And like, that's why I say it's like a family. And then, of course, on Saturday nights, we have extra events. One that I love is called the Cultural Exchange, where everybody brings beverages that are native to where they come from, and we kind of just put them on a big table and grab what you want and share, and everyone talks to everybody, and it ends up being a pretty interesting night by the end of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, wow, hearing that, it makes me rue the pandemic even more. I wanna go sometime. It sounds like so much fun. That's
yeah.
I mean, it's like I said,
we're going, but it's not the same. It's
next time you see Joe Manganello, though, could you ask him if he could send his dungeon to my place? I would just fit it under my house, I think. I hope it fits under my house because it's huge. But
well, I mean, we have so many creators there. For example, like I said hi to Steve Jackson the other day, the one who made Munchkin and so many other great games. And when at the last con we were at, and he's just like, "Oh, you like my stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, everybody likes your stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just really great to see the people who make the things that you love, and to be able to tell them, how much rolling dice with friends is changed your life. So,
yeah,
it really has, and
yeah,
and some of the people responsible for that are over there, and
yeah. So, do you know how? Because this, of course, can be found when you see interviews and everything, but. I think we all know that Rook Gygax is the one who originally played Melf, I think. Right?
Yes.
Yes. So, do you know how this? Well, we all know Rook was at the start of GaryCon, right?
Yes.
He was the son of Gary as well. How did this transfer to him? Do you know?
Well, Luke is okay. I don't want to say Luke is the responsible one, but Luke is the one that is he had the time to organize it, and Luke is also a professional organizer. He's a soldier for the U.S. military and serves as a lieutenant colonel for a logistics battalion, I believe battalion. I might have his unit size wrong, and so his job is literally to organize people and get things to where they need to be. And he's fantastic at it. So as is built, what ended up happening is GaryCon was birthed organically, like I said, from tragedy, but friends coming together to celebrate. And as it grew, it was those friends coming together to help each other out that grew GaryCon and gave it the support. So when people think of a convention, they think of this large corporate organization that has that has offices and these people who put all this stuff together. And really it is, for GaryCon, it's just a bunch of friends who want to put on a good show for everybody else. And they come together and we organize everything via phone and email, and everybody pitches in everything they can. And by the end of it, we're all exhausted, and it's the best kind of exhaustion you could imagine.
Yeah, because I think does the organization of GaryCon start the day after GaryCon?
I'm not actually sure about how it developed in the early days, but as it grew,
when the 28th of March has passed, will you start working on the next one on the 29th of March?
Oh, we're already working on the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're about we usually start working on the next one about 3 months before the current one actually starts. So, and we also have another smaller event that's called Autumn Revel, which is it gives nod to the origin. Many 52 years ago, Gary Gygax was asked by a wargame company to put on a small convention, and he called it the Geneva Wargaming Convention and held it, if I'm not mistaken, at the Horticultural Center in Lake Geneva. And about 100-ish people showed up from the area, from like the Great Lakes area in the U.S. And that gaming convention, that Geneva Wargaming Convention, grew over 50-something years and turned into Gen Con.
Yeah,
and
that one as well.
Yeah.
Well, TSR was based in Lake Geneva. They had other smaller conventions throughout the year with different seasons to try and just bring people together to try out new ideas. There wasn't a playtest world, so you'd bring something to a con and you'd run it and see what people thought of it. Because obviously your friends are going to think the new modules you create are great, but as you really do need to give it to the public to see what they enjoy. And so you would see many of the previews for many of the modules at these events, and we're trying to bring that back with smaller conventions. We did Autumn Revel last year online, virtually, and that was our chance to improve on our skills doing virtual conventions. But we're hoping that when everything's over, we're going to bring back smaller conventions as well. And so GaryCon grows just by giving people a place to play.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so community centric as well. Because people think that I have missed a question from chat. I have not missed a question, but I'm just so intrigued by what Mike is telling him that I'm keep asking him my own questions. I'm guessing. But it says, and now it just scrolled out of you. Question for Mike: do you get a chance to play any games on the con, or is it just all work, no play?
So when I was a volunteer, I would get to play. And there's a secret game that we would run after the con for the volunteers, where we would all have our own, like, exhausted, 4 days of running around working. We would all have this game that we called the Dead Dog game, and that was fun. But I would usually find a way to sneak in at least 1 or 2 games. In fact, for the previous 3 years that we were physically together, I was playing in a Sunday morning game run by a gentleman named Dirk, and we'd see each other once a year, but it was an ongoing campaign from Brown Box D&D. And
cool.
Yeah. So I brought the same character back. We'd play for hours on a Sunday morning. And we wouldn't see each other for another year, and then everyone would come back together and we would play again. And it was really fun.
Yeah, those are some stories, man. I love those big intermission kind of games. Where you just pick up again and start playing as if nothing ever happened. Yeah. Well, I'm getting inspired. I'm getting a bit silent as well, which is.
I'm just listening here. I don't think I've ever been so quiet on this show, but it's. Yeah, I'm just being taken away by this. It's like I said. I wish I could be there and wish I could experience it for myself. It sounds right up my alley, and I would enjoy that very much.
Well, not to be too inspirational, but you guys know that you can organize your own conventions too, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually kind of thinking about it right now. It is.
Well, we are getting a larger community here in the Netherlands where we can really do stuff together and start organizing stuff.
Yeah.
So
we are in the process of setting something up with some other people, but we're not really ready to disclose anything about that.
Well, remember that Dungeons & Dragons came about because 2 people met at a convention and said, hey, I like this thing and you like this thing. Let's work together and make a thing.
Yeah, indeed.
Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax met at those Geneva Wargaming conventions and then just struck up a friendship where they eventually created what we know as D&D now.
Yeah. So here Stefas is really blowing up in chat. He's asked another question, and this another question for Mike. What's your favorite edition in Dungeons & Dragons, and why is it 4th edition?
Okay, so funny story about 4th edition is I took a break from D&D for a while, and I was able to play like some White Wolf online. I was able to play a handful of other smaller systems or smaller games. And when I came back to wanting to play D&D again, fourth edition was in full swing, and I was like, okay, I'll learn the rules. I'll learn the new edition. It looks pretty neat. There was a lot of stuff to it. There was books and all that. So I started learning, and then this rumor started creeping online that they were developing something cool that was going to come out in 2015 called fifth edition. And I was like, oh, do I want to go through the effort of learning a new system if they're just going to come out with a new system after the new system? So I played some fourth edition without DMing anything, and then fifth edition came out, and I was like, oh, this is simple. I like this. This is easy to learn. It's easy to run. And so I've been running fifth edition, but secretly my favorite like nostalgia game isn't even D&D. My favorite nostalgia is running Vampire the Masquerade, because that's what I did for the most when I was a youngster back in the day.
And did you paint your face white? That's the question I have to ask then.
A couple times. My eye makeup game was on point. Let me tell you that. I had solid eyeliner skills.
Cool. Yeah. So the running joke with Herr Stefes is that he disliked 3.5 edition, which we always played, and was really into 4th edition, and we didn't play that.
I have nothing against 4th edition. There's definitely things I like from it.
Yeah,
there's definitely things I steal from it. That's
yeah. So there are a couple of cool things, and I think that in 5th edition you get all the strange but free kind of, if the dungeon master decides that this is the rule, then we are going to do that vibe. With the 3.0 and 3.5 edition, we now understand that growing numbers is the way to go, and you have all these other things you can do. And then the 4th edition,
we skipped that too mostly. It's just because we had all these long running campaigns that were 3.5, and we just continued those.
I have the books, and the thing I really loved about it, which is the thing that has remained in 5th edition, is ritual casting, which I thought was a really good addition to the game, and really for another sense in which you can think of spells. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love ritual casting.
If I look in the group we play in, most of us started off with 2nd edition, and we played that for a long while, and we were skeptical when 3rd edition came out, or 3.5, but eventually we transitioned, even though we still had some issues with it, and with there being a role for everything you wanted to do, and if you had this rule dominant DM that could just make you roll a dice after every conversation, no matter how good you role played, and then said you fail or something. And then 5th came, which for us was the bridge between 2nd edition and 3.5 in a way, where there was a return to this freedom, but also the simplicity as rule of the rules, and no longer any taco calculations or anything like that. Yeah. So yeah, I was kind of happy with 5th, and I would still enjoy playing 5th a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But D&D is also a game that if you don't like anything, then you can just change it.
Yeah, I put in chat, my dirty secret is I've never actually played a 3.5 or a 3rd edition game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that is a dirty secret. Yeah. But I still remember when I got the 3.5 books, or the 3.0 books really. I remember when I got them and I opened them for the first time, I just remember the smell of them, and like, this is new. That's
the new book smell, yeah.
And they were such beautiful books as well. Man. Yeah.
Well, I started in 2nd edition, and our DM showed up with a big milk crate full of books every game, and I mean it was stuffed. Like you had to pry the books out, because we had so many. Like, we had race books, we had class books, we had all the books that you could imagine. And I played a Goblin Shaman, and 2nd edition carried through past when I graduated college, and so I just didn't move forward with 3.5 because I was playing different stuff. I wasn't really playing Dungeons and Dragons during that time, and it was a while till I came back to it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, in a way we did as well. It's that I got the books, and which were really cool, and then we started playing that as well next to the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my second edition campaign ended just a couple of years ago, actually. Like 4 years ago, maybe? 3?
Well, yeah, it depends on how you
Yeah, okay, it depends on how you look at it. I think it's...
2010 or something?
Yeah, something like... maybe 2012. That doesn't matter. It went now on for a while.
Yeah. So that game started in like 96, and we played till 2012.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Multiple characters over multiple stories in a single campaign.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the first part of the show. Are there any more questions in chat?
I think somebody had a question about what I was running, and I definitely would address that. Although Zarathon wants me to link them, I unfortunately can't do that and talk at the same time. Although I'm sure he's skilled enough to do it. Zarathon is one of our admins on the Discord server, and he is fantastic. Real Greyhawk guy. If you ever want to talk Greyhawk, he's your man. Yeah. But I'm running 2 events, and the first thing I'm doing is I'm organizing them, and the second thing I'm doing is stepping out of their way, because the 2 events that I'm running are I'm running an accessibility panel. It's going to be showcasing a bunch of gamers with various disabilities, and they're going to be talking about how how people who may not be in the disability community are able to support those who are, and without making it awkward. It's going to be run by a gentleman online who's known as Blind Temple on Twitter, and he is blind, and he is obviously from his name, and he has assembled together a good group of people who are going to really have some great information. And the other panel I'm running is a inclusivity panel. It's going to be including Alyssa Faden, who's an excellent map artist and wonderful Twitch streamer who loves to draw maps on Twitch, and I love to harass the people she's drawing them for with questions. And it's going to include Imogen Gingell, who is a regular writer and contributor to the Eberron campaign world, and she is going to be she's going to be swinging in from a conference. She's at a astrophysicist conference in England, and she's going to be coming to us as soon as she's done doing her physicist talks. She's going to be talking about inclusivity and how we can build a table that welcomes everybody, and I think that's going to be really great. And with both of those panels, I helped organize them, and then I did the hardest thing to do, which is as somebody who's old, male, pale, and stale, I decided that nobody needed to hear my opinions. So once I organized them, I'm going to be introducing them and stepping away from them, so the people whose voices need to be heard can be heard.
Yeah, that's
great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm very interested in the disability panel. Well, I think I'm interested in both of them because I like drawing maps as well and everything. But the fact, I'm just wondering how that experience is, being blind and doing such things. Really interesting. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that there's a company out there that creates dice with American Braille pips on them so they can be read, and they actually make the files for free so that you can 3D print them if you'd like, or you can purchase them, or you can donate to their organization. And I really wish I could remember the name of the organization right now, but if you donate to their organization, they'll actually send dice that are well made and balanced to people who are in need of them and may not have the means. And that is a piece of information I'll need to get before the panel.
Yeah. So if you want to do a shout out, let me do a shout out about that in the show, for example, about those dice. Then just tell me on Discord what the name is, and I'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, good news is that since Jasper talks so much, I was able to Google it real quick.
I'm having my slow voice on right now. Imagine. Oh, that's better, I think, if I have my slow voice on, because then everything lasts longer, right? Yeah, he does that, says Marty.
It's RPG.org.
I have a tendency, as being hyperactive, I have a tendency to talk faster than people can keep up with. So I always have a note on my computer that says talk slow.
Yeah. I like that about Careful Cantrips stream, where you can donate, what is it called again?
Channel points.
You can donate channel points to make him take a sip of water. So, just so he remembers. I love that. Let's go to the main topic now, because I think we are to that point, and it's exactly 10 to 10, which I told you before that would be about.
Yeah, he's on schedule. That's a first.
Per accident, though.
Yeah.
But it's always per accident, and it works out great, so that's cool. For everybody who joined us later, I just wanted to show you this one more time. Watch us on Sunday the 28th of March, 7 p.m. CET on Ethereal GaryCon, and win some tickets.
Yeah, you put up the wrong screen.
It's squishy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Use the big screen.
Yeah, the big screen. There we go. And I'll put this on. You can maybe pause it for a bit if you want to see what was happening again. And that's the one where we show you how you can win a ticket, possibly, to GaryCon, which is a digital ticket. Well, it's a digital ticket, yes. So to the GaryCon event, which has its hub on Discord, and the rules are displayed here. Pause it and follow them. And what I forgot to mention is that we'll be announcing the winners on the next Talking Void. That will give you some time.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Is that okay? Do you think, Roger?
You're asking me now. You're making a unilateral decision, and then you're asking me.
It isn't written down anywhere.
We can also go next week, but no, let's do 2 weeks, and we have.
Let's do it on the Talking Void again. Yeah. So about that, let's go to the small screen then again. It will be a bit squishy, but I thought about this on this one. So there you go. You can see this one works. And let's go to the main topic, which is: what is the silliest build you have ever made in a role-playing game? This question was given to us by Mike himself, because I think he loves his silly builds, right? And he shared them with me as well. So you want to talk about that right now, or do you first want to see some community answers?
Well, I think I shared with you was it a Kenku?
Yeah, it was the Kenku.
Yes. Sorry, I do actually have a lot of silly builds. This morning, I was building a Goliath artificer based off of Cobra Bubbles from the Lilo and Stitch movie. But my current favorite silly build is it's for an Underdark campaign that a friend of mine is running, and I wanted to be a Kenku named Jukebox that would only respond with song lyrics. And as a bard, it made sense. And he's just a ridiculous character. So everything you could imagine, if my bardic inspiration would be living on a prayer, or never gonna give you up, or something along those lines would be fantastic.
So you're using actual real life songs for this.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Do you have him on a CD or CD? Hear me on
no.
Spotify list, or do you with your mouth?
I would subject you to terrible singing.
Oh, that's
awesome! Yeah.
That's the best. I love terrible singing. Let me do one for you right now. No, I'm not going to do it because
that sounds so hard though. Don't you have to think really hard about what you're going to say before you're going to say it?
No, because if you give me anything to respond to, I can usually come up with either song lyrics, movie quotes, or Shakespeare quotes to respond to things. I just have a tendency to. My wife actually gets annoyed. I talk and quote quite often.
Yeah, well, awesome. Would make for a good show.
And especially because it's a Kenku, of course, because they mimic everything and
mimicry.
Yeah.
I'm just off the top of my head. Let's see. Heat metal spell I would use, burning down the house. Cure wounds would probably be never going to give you up because No, I don't want that to happen. Let's see. Yeah. So there's always something out there. You can think of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but especially in roleplay situations where you have to think on the spot, and I mean spells you can prepare somewhat or have a feel with them that might evoke a song. But if you're trying to talk down a dangerous encounter, then coming up with the correct song,
as he says, revivify, carry on my wayward son.
Exactly.
There we go.
Also, Jasper isn't allowed to sing on this show.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think I have a lovely voice. I hope I have a lovely voice.
You
Please
do.
tell me
You
I
do.
have a lovely voice.
It's okay, Jasper. There.
Yeah. So let's dive into some community answers. That might be great. The first ones, I always start with a bit stranger ones or funny ones. So Velixian says, silliest build I can think of is a piece of bread that uses unseen servant / mage hand to carry itself.
I think I played that game.
You did?
Yeah, I think there was a indie game called I Am Bread or something like that. And yeah.
Oh, cool. And did you have the mage hand spell with that one?
No, you just play it. You play as a person like slapping a piece of bread around the kitchen trying to escape. And I could see that though. Unseen Servant. Unseen Servant is an underused spell that you can really do some neat stuff with.
Yeah, I love that spell.
Yeah.
I have it as my character on the Precipice, at least one of my 2 characters on the Precipice. Because it's so cool. Yeah. I used it to push aside crowds. Just give them a gentle push, and so that
like nudging,
just nudging them.
I like to use it to save the person. Like, a person's over there, they need to be saved, or you can fight the bad guy. I'm like, Unseen Servant, go save the person. I'll go fight the bad guy.
Yeah, indeed, that's cool. It's like if you're the Batman from the terrible movie where you have to decide between 2 things. I can't remember which 2 things you had to decide between, but I'm Batman. I had to save them both. You know that one.
Yes.
So cool. Bobicus says, true polymorph chair. Play like a normal adventurer until it runs into an anti-magic field or dispel magic.
Yeah.
So what will be, what's the intelligence score of this chair? Is what I ask myself. If it simply has like a point by, then it's okay, I think.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but it's a silly build.
Yeah, and
that counts.
Yeah, Negasonic 117, who is a follower of us as well and has his own YouTube channel. Just doing a shout out, says Gordon Ramsay as a bard / fighter, max level non-playing character, and he shouts insults and inspirational words every other round, or just Gordon Ramsay in a D&D setting at all.
You could see that.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It's like a reverse Swedish chef, you know. You hear every word, but you don't want to hear it. Do you know Gordon Ramsay in the?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
I think
I'm not a big cooking person, but yeah, he's seeped into the pop culture enough because that dude has the skills of a drill sergeant when it comes up to with creating insulting turns of phrase.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Good way to break up a party.
Well, I think that it's in some shows he's right. In some shows he might back down just a bit, you know, because he goes in a bit with a stretched leg. Is that an okay English proverb? I don't know. So that are some first of the silly answers, and then I thought this one was a bit of a strange one, but I wanted to include it anyway. Rush Workshop says silliest build, Bard Paladin Alchemist. And I like these kind of things where they don't explain anything, just say that this is a silly build. And I don't know.
Yeah, I had a Bard Paladin combo. It was a half orc drag queen known as Madam Damage.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a vengeance paladin, and man, it really worked for the story.
Yeah. Would you ever have considered adding an alchemist to that mix?
I mean, maybe if she made drinks afterwards.
Are they the poisonous kind or are they the healing kind? That's the question we have to ask ourselves then, I think.
I think sometimes they're both.
Thank you, Marty, for the subscription. Keep it up, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan
Thanks so
here.
much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for both, I think as well. I think alchemist is always, you have this feeling when you are a herbalist that you're probably using it for healing in some way, and then alchemist, it goes boom. But both can go either way, poisons and healing. Yeah, well.
I was thinking of alcohol with that because it feels good at first, and then it feels like poison the next day.
Yeah. That's the thing as well. And then the Telmana project says, silliest build of mine would have to be either an Oath of Glory paladin who is basically a student athlete with an overblown ego, or my orc wild magic sorcerer who just wants to be a carpenter, but magic keeps happening to him. So
I like the orc.
Yeah, the last one sounds great.
Yeah. What I found really funny is when I started to ask this question. Well, first off, my question. Let's not talk about that one. But is that what kind of silly answers will you get when you ask such a question? And then, or Mike's question, really. I shouldn't say my question. And the first thing that popped into my mind was like. You combine a certain amount of classes and then something comes from that's pretty stupid or something, and those are in here. But well, if you have a piece of bread that's being carried by his own mage hand spell, or you get these kinds of comments where you really feel the kind of laughing that happens at the table, then you see how diverse these answers can be to a question that you have this preconceived notion of what the answers will be. And I like how the community keeps surprising us with short and long answers in a whole lot of different styles.
I honestly think that there's no truly silly build. I'm a role playing first kind of gamer, and as long as everyone's having fun playing, I really don't care what you play as. You can play as a raccoon that drives around in a trash can, and I'm happy.
Yeah. yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a popular Marvel character, so why not? Yeah. But there, the orc sounds like a fun one. I always like reluctant heroes. Where they actually don't want to do something, but they kind of have to because stuff happens.
Yeah, I love that as well. So Ashley is saying, this is quite meta, going through the silly answers first. This is hurting my brain. Yeah, silly answers of the silliest build. Yeah, I understand what you mean. I think they are all a bit silly this time. Yeah.
It's in the question, so...
Yeah, true.
Wouldn't be surprised.
No. Let's go to the next one. Rosero says, I think my most interesting was playing a halfling who was mysteriously lucky, had an affinity for green waistcoats and top hats, and had an astounding sense of direction based on rainbows.
I like that.
Yeah. And this is...
Somehow I can already picture him.
Yeah, for some reason I can do too.
Red hair and a beard, maybe?
I would also offer people cereal a lot if I was that halfling.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny how you can combine these in-game things to build such a type of character. I think we discussed this on Careful Cantrip show. The troll trope under the bridge and everything. Well, that's simply a troll, but if you place it in such a way that you recognize it, it becomes a cool thing. And I think this halfling is going to be very lucky. Probably has the lucky feet and a clover and an ion stone of luck or something as well, because can't miss with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have halfling luck, but I've always wanted to play a halfling that's unlucky, like where his luck only can apply to others, not himself. Like he's unlucky naturally, but people like having them around.
Yeah, I think we really got such an answer as well, but I haven't included them all because there were too many. But there was one who made such a who gave such an answer. Yeah, always going against the idea. Yeah. Thor Engdahl says, a halfling wanted to run his own bakery, but the half-orc he employed used really lousy recipes. The halfling turned rogue as he started breaking into other bakeries in town to steal their recipes for bread rolls and cinnamon buns. Well, in a way, we've got him right there.
Was this the adventure, though, or is this his origin story, his backstory?
Yeah, I think...
I mean...
it could be both, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but small races feature a lot in this one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I have a tendency to either play really small characters or really big characters. Like, I don't do anything in medium, in the middle.
Yeah. Topo Turtle, are you still in chat, Topo Turtle? I saw you earlier. I've been wanting to make a few dumb main stat builds. Clumsy Rogue, Dropout Wizards. Oh, he was the one who, or she, I don't know. They were the one who did the Clumsy Rogue thing. And that's what it reminded me of. Because halflings, I always get a rogue vibe. Even if they aren't rogues, I think. Yeah, and I like going against the grain, so to say. Yeah.
That's why I built this morning while I was building the Goliath Artificer, because Artificer is an intelligence-based class, and Goliaths are not usually valued for their intelligence. So I like to break molds with characters. It's like having an adventurer who still has parents.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that one as well this time. Yeah, in our online.
Of having no parents. Yeah, you.
Parents, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
I have a couple of characters in my campaign that have normal parents, nothing special. They even went back to one of these guys' homes to have a nice warm cooked meal. That
became.
It was also a strange experience in D&D.
Yeah. Well, I remember the parents of one of my characters in my Night Below campaign had these. These farmer parents, which was this brute of a man, human, and then he was a half elf, so his mother was an elf, and she was this kind of sensual woman who just loved his dad, and they were really tied together. And then they would always embarrass him when they would get home, but give a really well cooked meal as well. Oh, I love that one. But I must admit that in my recent campaign, where Roger is a player of mine, I have been a bit harsh on the parents, and I think I left no one alive, actually.
I think I killed them off myself in the backstory, so I'm guilty as well.
Yeah, yours, yeah. But the other players, well, I think one is alive, but is missing an arm or something.
Yeah, my only published character who made it into a Troll-Lord Games book has parents, and he's super embarrassed about them. He's like whenever his whole reason for adventuring is to rebel against his parents because they were merchants. He's like, no, I can do cool stuff on my own. And it was just that teenage angst that made him adventure.
Yeah. I think that seeps in a lot as well, you know. You're doing that right now, or did you do that earlier? Or?
What's that, the published character?
Yeah.
He's a character I play at conventions,
and
he got into the Lost City of Gaxmore book.
Oh yeah, okay. So, do you play the characters that you play now? Do they have more aspects of yourself right now, or are they still? And were your teen character when you were a teen yourself? Were your characters teens as well, or older, or did they exhibit the same behavior as you did, or do?
That's a really interesting question. So, I generally played characters that were very far from my personality when I was younger. like the character I played for the longest time was in a live action role playing game, and I played it for 3 or 4 years, and it was in Vampire the Masquerade, the LARP, and I played as the famous writer Lewis Carroll, who was insane and pretending to be somebody else entirely, and so he's obviously an old English writer, and that's not as a teenager what I was.
Yeah.
And nowadays I play characters that are mostly far from what I think. But I tend to like weird characters. For example, when the Harry Potter series was first being released, everyone thought I was crazy because I thought Snape was the best character in the books. And now everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Snape's good." And I'm like, when you were reading the first book, you were like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And like in Star Trek DS9, I like the character Garrick, who is, I mean, truly awful, but in an interesting way. And right now, like the one character I play, because I only get to play in one game, because I DM in the other one I play. And the one character I have now is a lazy bugbear who talks like Boomhauer, he's like a real lazy Southerner, and his goal is to not fight if he can just intimidate his way through the situation, because he just wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
So, and that's not me. I'm a very nice, gregarious person. I don't like to intimidate people.
Yeah.
So,
No, but I like that as well. Stepping out of your comfort zone, or just walking in someone else's shoes. It's just kind of the point of the game as well.
yeah.
I mean, you have people that feel more comfortable playing something they know and something they can relate to. But yeah, for me, I'm a forever DM, so I don't have that many characters. But I explore that as well when I'm DMing with all the NPCs. Just visit some extremes and walk different walks of life.
Yeah, I think because that's so fun to experience. You know, how would this person react that is not me? Because when you start reacting that way, and you can suddenly click that you know a person that does the things you're experiencing because you are playing a certain kind of person, and you weren't even trying to be that one person, but accidentally you now understand this person and what he does even better. You get respect for that person out of it.
Well, I always have that with NPCs in my games when they get in the way of the party and they don't agree with their way of thinking. That the players actually look at me when, do you think like that? Well, that doesn't sound like you. Come on, be rational, be logical. But no, this NPC isn't. I might be, but yeah.
My biggest thing that I try to tell people is that it's never okay to say that's not how my character would respond, or that's what my character would do as an excuse for bad behavior, because your character may be a bad person, you may have things like that, but generally speaking, you still need to be a part of the group, and that's why we're here. But as a DM, I am perfectly happy playing characters that will taunt and torment, or will slow down, or will entangle the group or make things worse for them, especially when they ignore the NPCs in the group that are traveling with them. And I try not to have too many NPCs around, because that just ends up being a lot for me to remember. But yeah.
Yeah. So chat is saying some things as well. I'm not trying to skip you, chat, but well, thanks. My silliest build was Brenzi Banzar, the Magnificent, a famous traveling gnome illusionist. The thing was, he couldn't cast illusion spells. He had some mind affecting spells, e.g. charm, which he used to convince 2 people from the crowd that they had seen the most amazing illusion show. Yeah, that's breaking the rules as well of the rules of the normal. Ashley says, my only 5th edition character for ever DM is a 5 foot 1 inch 200 pound Triton paladin that hates to walk anywhere as he has the body type of a seal.
I get that.
Yeah, that's 1.5 meters, 90 kilograms for Europeans. Well, aren't you a European anymore, Ash?
Not anymore. They left us.
They left us. Yeah.
Just in time.
Okay. Yeah. I wish I was, says Ashley. Yeah. Well. Another answer. A malnourished dragonborn with a strange diet that led to him becoming very small, that most people didn't even recognize him as a dragonborn unless they paid close attention to his features. He was also obsessed with soup.
Can you malnourish yourself into becoming a kobold?
Yeah, that's how I imagine it. But I think so. The thing is, recognize him as a dragonborn unless they paid close attention. So my mind immediately goes, does he look human now? But probably kobold, right?
Yeah. Sounds like a kobold then.
Yeah.
I mean, a really small dragonborn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you pay close attention and you see wings or stuff like that, then yeah.
A dragonborn don't have wings.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah. Half dragons. Oh, you can always imagine wings, right? And also soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard soup before. I have a character that's obsessed with coffee, though, in my campaign.
Yeah, I just like reading these kinds of answers that we get to our questions, and then thinking that I know where it's going, and then the sentence like "and soup" throws me off at the end of the whole story, because why and soup? Yeah,
It's a British thing. It's what Ashley said. Yeah, go watch The Clangers.
Okay.
I'm gonna Google this after the show.
Yeah, as well. Ian says, Luchador, wore spiked mithril plate and had expertise in stealth.
Luchador, like the big Mexican wrestler.
If you miss your attack, is he just like stuck in the ground? Like I'm just imagining like on it, like he goes for the elbow drop, and then he's on his back, stuck there, and he's like just waving his arms around because he missed.
Yeah, so one miss and you can defeat him. Right? Yeah. Okay. Had to skip some part. So here we are going into another big one. It's a whole lot of text, but I am going to read it out loud because there are 4 entries here. I combined the Dutch 20 ones here, except for one, which will be later on. Johan says the character is Conifer Honeybottle, better known as Mask. He claims that he is a halfling bard rogue, but in fact he is a goblin bard. The nimble escape from the goblin species and the psychic blades from the College of Whispers are kind of equivalent to cunning action and sneak attack. He wears a mask all the time and casts disguise self to become his halfling persona. This persona is a famous poet who is a bit shy and doesn't like to be recognized, which is why he wears a mask. It gets complicated after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it went on for a bit, and he said, but then he went to impersonate a lich in some adventure, which caused him to, well, I know it went on. So it's silly, I think. I think we can mark this one down as silly.
It.
Yeah.
Well, a bard pretending to be a rogue, yeah.
Yeah.
And Araneoles says, silliest character I have is Snorro, the full-plate and dwarven knight on a pirate ship. Yeah, that's really dangerous.
I would call him Anchor. I had a, speaking of people in weird places, I had an elf monk I played that was a ladron, and he was essentially a clothing designer, and he was a drunken master monk, and he would essentially just be just inebriated all the time and start fights by commenting on people's bad fashion taste.
Yeah, a bit like what is his name from? I get reminded of the what's the show about the superheroes, the Umbrella Academy.
Oh yes,
Umbrella,
yeah.
Yeah, Klaus essentially.
Klaus,
yes.
Klaus, yes, yeah.
Made me think of Klaus immediately. Yeah, kind of guru. Yeah. Then another answer is from Allard. I currently play a dex-based druid that picks his spells so I can play him as a rogue. Again, I'm not going to multiclass to a rogue, but I like the experiment. How far can I take it? This seems to be some kind of thing going on the Dutch 20 community. Chicken Mate says, wanted to try this one out in a game. Gnome wizards with an enlarged, reduced and nimble physique. Setting feat that only allows you to squeeze through a space which as if you were one size smaller. For those who are counting, small, tiny, diminutive, 6 inch, 1 foot tall, and much less wide. AKA, is there a keyhole? Then I fit. Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially an Ant-Man build, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Except that you can't go human size, but
Well, you can. You can enlarge.
oh, you're gonna enlarge, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but he's going Ant-Man, not Giant-Man in this story.
True. Yeah. And then Sylvanas says, my silliest build was a level 1 fighter, level X warlock celestial, and had a lot of constitution to be tanky. Its spells were about control, like using lightning lure. If it even had some healing because of a previous undying spec. Basically, it was a Borky paladin. You see how people are doing very interesting, strange builds that reflect other classes?
Yeah,
I've been seeing a lot more divine soul sorcerers as pretending to be clerics, essentially.
Yeah.
yeah, that would also work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a major meme right now. That if you want the best ranger as a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still. Yeah. And now with the Unearthed Arcana version of the ranger and the Tasha's options as a ranger, the class is even more complicated than it ever was because you don't know what features to pick anymore. It's really strange. Yeah.
Oh, it's not as bad as it was though.
No, but I like the Unearthed Arcana the most, I think. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, I think Ranger finally got the love it needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it still has this negative stigma around it, and people still, if they want to play an archer character, they roll a fighter or does the other or rogue or something.
Yeah, they do more damage. Yeah, I've made my own ranger subclass called the marksman, which is in a way a kind of arrow, kind of archer, which is a ranger. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the in the campaign I run, everybody decided they were going to be ranged, either archers or something along those lines. And it's a Curse of Strahd campaign, so eventually somebody needs to take the sun sword and stab the vampire. And so the only person who even had any strength was our bard, and it was like, oh dear God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting though, an all range party that it changes up encounters a lot.
Sometimes not for the best.
No.
Wai Zong says, technically silly. I love this one. Make an int 14 to 16, Ga 16, who rolls 1d3 per level, 1d3 per level. Sorry, my Dutch is coming through. Up to determine if she is a lore bard, a divine soul sorcerer, or a divination wizard. Practical implementation: subclasses are capped at sorcerer 3, bard 3, wizard 2. The first class to bust the mark becomes the main class. The rest may hit the cap, but no further. You can also make it easier by capping it to the wizard, so the wizard may not hit 3 until one of the two other classes are free, for slightly below 50-50 chance to make your main class not the wizard. There we go.
It sounds silly, yeah, but that's silly character creation, though.
Yeah. But that's so funny about these kinds of things, that such a elaborate
Would that be
story.
class? Is that class saves you're rolling? Like instead of death saves, you're just having a class save to see what you become?
Yeah. Yeah. Just roll on the table to see what you become, which is funny as well.
Oh, it helps people who can't choose.
Yeah. It's you again hear someone laughing in the background when you read this stuff, that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's.
It's good for the indecisive person.
Yeah, as well. Yeah. Just
Gestalt.
roll. Yeah. Sydney says, back in 3rd edition, we decided to make Gestalt characters to see if we could break the game by being OP. I made a drow half celestial, half silver dragon cleric. She was fun to play. So, do you know Gestalt?
3rd edition, man, that's out of my realm.
Yeah. I think you had rules for it in 2nd edition. But, well, no, you had dual class in 2nd edition and multiclass, which was more in line with Gestalt in 3rd edition. So it's basically you take 2 classes and you level them both, and you take the highest of each class per level. So, for example, the proficiency bonus, which ran from 1 to 20 for a fighter in 3rd edition and went from 1 to 5 for a 1 to 10 for a wizard, then you would always pick that from that class, but you would take the will saving throw bonus from the wizard class and so on. And you basically build a dual class character up to level 20. But what you could do is you could, instead of, you could still pick one class and then the other levels you chose in the other realm, you took templates. So then you could really mess up your build. Because templates had levels as well. So, for example...
ECL.
ECL, effective character levels. So then you would have a Celestial, I think, had 3 levels or such a thing. So you could take 3 levels in Celestial and get the boost from that in your Gestalt part of your character.
This also reminds me of Man-Bear Pig. I mean, she's a drow, half Celestial, half Silver Dragon. Sounds like 2 races, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I generally play underpowered characters. Every so often, I'll try to make something that's powerful, or I'll make something powerful on accident. But I generally try to play things that are like just goofy, and I think it's because my first character was a goblin shaman who was practically useless at everything.
Was that because of the 2nd edition rules, or because how you build her?
I think I stepped into the character when I wanted to play because they had an NPC that was the Goblin Shaman. Because as we know, every party eventually adopts a goblin, and so I was playing as the Goblin Shaman, and it may have just been a lack of knowledge on my part on how to play it well. But I eventually started figuring out like how to use the clairvoyant spells effectively and things like that to try and help us. But for the most part, they just had a rope to me and threw me through anything that looked dangerous to see if I died.
That's the horrid way to treat a goblin. Yeah. or did the goblin have fun? Then it's okay.
I had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Goblins are funny, though. I did a whole topic on it on my last week's Jasper's Laboratory, where I was doing a goblin cavern. Well, I'm not going into that right here, but if you ever want to see what I think about goblins,
ethics discussion.
Ethics discussion, meta.
You started the show off with, I'm going to keep it simple, and 5 minutes later you were going on a rant about ethics of killing goblins, and
Yeah.
There's an old meme on the internet I see that there's something along the lines of the players like, all right, let's loot the goblins, and the DM's like, you find a crumpled up picture of a goblin family with the goblin you just killed in it, and the DM, the party's like, no, and the DM's like, yeah, he had a family, and you're like, no.
Well, it's like that. My last suggestion in the thing I'm doing is that don't involve children when you're doing a slaughter of a goblin cavern, because that gets awkward at the end, you know.
Yeah. Most of my characters that I've played in the past, I usually work out with the DM in advance that I explicitly say they will make non-lethal attacks whenever possible on humanoids and anything that seems sentient.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
Which then it makes RP very interesting, because then you have a bunch of things that you've not killed that are maybe behind you or that you have to secure or do something with, and it's like, oof.
Oh yeah, we did that as well in one of your campaigns, Jasper, where we just refused to kill anyone.
Yeah.
And encounters always, if an enemy went down, then we healed them back up, and then we tied them, we hog-tied them and moved on. But I remember the first time that we actually had to kill someone in that adventure, it shook the entire party to the core.
Yeah.
We had a new player back then, Eric from our show, and he was shocked at how we were even deliberating this. And he was, maybe he was used to the murder hobo parties, but this was quite the opposite.
Yeah. And it wasn't even you doing it. Was the animal companion of one of the characters.
Yeah, the deer. Exactly.
Put a hoof into its head. Yeah.
Even the animal companions were fed up with our good manners.
Which was funny as well, because the stag was called Mace.
Mace, yeah.
Which is what kind of what bird name is that in English? Well, it's a
Mace.
bird name.
Oh.
Type of bird?
No, it's a
type
mace.
of bird. Yeah. And then the guy he killed with his hoof was named Sparrow. So pure accident that it came up that way, Yeah. So let's go to chat for a bit. I think I'm starting to miss things. Sorry, chat. The only goal for my Triton Pelly was to have that moment from Guardians where someone in the party just looks at me and says, "You are an imbecile." Okay. And Essen says, "I have some history with Goblin I tried not to kill." Want to talk about it, Esner? Anyway.
Yeah.
Maim kill burn, says Herr Steves. In one of my campaigns, the enemies either turn their life around or die. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. A mace is a tit. Can we say that?
Yeah, in this context you can.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
I was just making fun right now. I wasn't serious at all. A tit. So a tit killed a sparrow. That's what happened. Say it, Jasper. Well, thank you. Yes. So
Quickly clip it.
Oh, no, I did it wrong. Clip it, yeah. Tit. Okay. Kyle says, I made an evocation wizard whose name was Explosions and only dealt with things related to fire and explosions. Spells were as close to fire and explosions as possible. He carried something like 20 flasks of oil on his person and had the brazier of summoning fire elementals. He lasted a grand total of, I think, 13 minutes because causing enough of a scene for to be permanently removed from the party. Only time I've needed to have a backup character prepared for a one-shot. Yeah.
I have a player who's doing that, and she's not joking when she made that character. The party had to sit her down recently and say, we need this building to be intact because our map currently has little red dots all over where they burn down parts of town. They can't go anymore.
Yeah. I have a party like that. Yeah. I think I've never needed to retire a character for a reason, for such a reason. Do any of you?
No.
No.
No, I the only time I came close is I had when I came back to playing, I was playing in a game where the character I was playing was had PTSD and was very iffy about combat and needed to make willpower saves for combat, and the DM took me to the side and they're like, "You're disruptive. Can you adjust this?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry." So that was it was a learning moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think learning moments are always good. I think we're all about that thing.
Yeah, well, and that should be okay. But people can be disruptive without realizing they're disruptive, and should be talked about. And if the DM just takes you aside and says, "Hey, can we do this differently?" Then why not?
And that's a good way to approach it instead of not inviting you to a party anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
that would have also taught me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
So another long one. I haven't played this character, but I've had the ID for a while now. Azimar Folk Hero, who is level 4 Sun Soul Monk, level 4 Light Domain Cleric, level 4 Zealot Barbarian, level 4 Divine Soul Sorcerer, and level 4 Celestial Patron Warlock. Basically, he saved his village from being destroyed and unknowingly fulfilled some obscure ancient prophecy. His angelic guide pushes him into seeking out training to become a clerk. But after barely making it to level 1, he decides that that's not really the life for him. He ends up in an Order of the Sun Soul monastery and trains to become a monk, but the monastery is destroyed and his teacher is killed shortly after he reaches level 3. He starts wandering again, and after getting into a serious fight, the deity he's still technically a cleric of grants him the gift of rage, setting him on the path of the zealot. An encounter with a demon causes his Aasimar blood to manifest as a divine soul sorcerer. A while later, his angelic guide becomes his celestial patron, making him a warlock. He seems to be caught up in this huge cosmic struggle over whether he will truly become prophesized one, or die before getting the chance. He's just a farm boy who has weird dreams and somehow keeps ending up in strange situations. And now he has all these abilities, but really he just wants to go home. Mechanically, this would be a nightmare, since you would need every state except int and max stat, except int and maybe dex. Not sure I'll ever play it, just one I've thought about for a while.
Sounds like a very tortured character.
Yeah.
Very tortured and really fought out up till level 20 without ever having to play a session.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it at first glance, it looks like he just took all of the divine light, radiant paths from Player's Handbook and made a character that is perfectly divided. But then he came up with a reason why he would be this way, and that.
Yeah. So that's what I liked about it as well. First indeed you think more, and then you say, "Oh, okay."
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, when you guys have a silly idea, do you have the idea and build the character backstory to fit the idea, or do you have a silly backstory and then build the character to fit it?
Well, so I can answer this.
Mostly the last one for me.
So, like this person, this Kyle, my silliest character really is Bowen from the Precipice of Dreams, and I conceived him maybe a year before the adventure even started. There was no mention of even doing a stream, and I just had this really great concept in my head where I had this good fellow who had this dark side, which was really kind of another person as well and had a totally different class and everything, and I really wanted to play him. And I had been thinking about this for so long, and in a way I had been thinking about this way earlier because my favorite Marvel hero is the Hulk, and I always wanted to be a kind of a person who could change shape in a way, although not specifically into a larger green shape, but into a different person.
A Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde, yeah.
I was actually thinking Fight Club, Tyler Durden.
That might be closer to Bowen even than the Hulk, really, in a sense. Although he is really two characters I play. But is he? Well, I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe Roger knows.
We're still finding that out.
Yeah,
No. I'm on the journey with you, man. It's
The metaphysics of what is my character.
Yeah. And
I encourage silly builds. My current group that's playing has a demon worshipping goblin who's he worships a goose, and he's trying to convince people to also worship the goose. And he's doing a great job of it. There's a lot of goose worshippers in our party now. A Simic hybrid who is essentially like a taxidermy experiment gone wrong. He just welds different things he finds onto himself. We have our pyromaniac wizard who just wants to burn things alive. A frontline fighting bard, which is, it's an awesome bard. He's doing great. And who am I forgetting? Oh yeah, and a dog, a specialized person who made a dog person who's a doctor, and he just wants to be a good boy.
Wow, that last one had me.
Yeah, and so I encourage the silliness, and it is delightful because we have some of the strangest and most fun adventures in the weird things that come up. They're a traveling freak show, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and in a way I think that even serious characters become silly after a while. Although they can become really serious, but because all the things they go through during a campaign must do something with your head, right? Because stuff, yeah. So chat is saying things about naming our fans the Void Cats, but it's Michel who's saying that.
Not sure he counts as chat.
No, it doesn't count as chat. Sorry, Michel. Ashley says, forgot the goose, follow the gourd. Forget the goose, follow the gourd. And in Critical Role, you have the duck totem barbarian, which was hilarious. Yeah. He was Quakers.
Crackers.
What?
Yeah, I've never watched a full episode of Critical Role. I just can't get through it.
No?
I'm Like I generally don't even do very many live plays because I get halfway to watching people play and I'm like, I want to go play D&D now.
Yeah. Well, I've watched like 240 episodes of Critical Role from start to finish right now. And I listen to them through podcasts mostly, so that takes me away from the screen and I can do it in other places. But
nice.
If I can choose every time, I would do my own campaign. Because, that's the most
And
fun.
by the way, Matt Mercer is as nice as you would expect he is. He's one of the nicest people ever.
Yeah. Well, I would like to meet him one day. But I would like to meet a lot of them, really.
Our next guest in 2 weeks. No.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Well, if he would. Matthew Mercer, if you are per accident listening to this show, just come on next one. We'll schedule it when you want to be on stream. Just throwing it out there. We are up to our last two ones.
Also, per accident is a extreme Dutch-ism.
Is that?
It's accidentally, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Accidentally, yeah, per accident. Oh, and Nikki again. I said Nikki again because this is the third time Nikki has come up in the show in the last 3 episodes. But I love this one. So, in 4th edition, you could have a Revenant as a player species. Revenants have past life access to feats of their previous race. Revenants can keep standing below 0 hit points, but they are dazed. A shitty condition that only allows for half turns and you can't take opportunity attacks anymore. So, humans have access to a feat that provokes opportunity attacks while you are dazed. Battle minds have access to a power that, when you are dazed, can pass on their dazed condition to their enemy, but it can't be done as an opportunity attack. Fighters have access to a specific heavy blade feat that allows them to use an at-will power as an opportunity attack. Fighters have access to a specific polearm feat that lets them make opportunity attacks against everything entering... Okay, now I'm getting really frustrated with the typos. Their reach as long as they are using a polearm. A glaive is a heavy blade and a polearm. I played a Revenant Human Fighter battle mind with met een... There's some Dutch in.
With a glaive, yeah.
Glaive. I'm not dazed because I'm dying. You're dazed because I'm dying.
I would need a flowchart to follow that.
Yeah. I had to read through it a couple of times to get to it, but I love the last sentence that describes it as a whole. And that's I'm not dazed because I'm dying, you're dazed because I'm dying. And that's the funny builds you can do. Well, you're not a 3rd edition person, Mike, but do you know the weirdest and most deadly build you can make in 3rd edition?
No, I'm not familiar.
It's a sorcerer that has a couple of feats. One of is that if you cast an area effect spell and you add a bit of snow to your component, you can let the area of effect spell do 1 damage. Then you have a feat that lets you, if your spell does damage, then you can add lightning damage to that spell as well, and then it deals 2 lightning damage. Then you have a feat that lets you, if you deal lightning damage, you can split it up and doing partly sonic damage, which requires the people in the area of effect to make a reflex saving throw. And then you have a feat that if a spell allows for a reflex saving throw, if an area effect spells allow for a reflex saving throw, you can, and they fail it, they are pushed toward the outside of the area and suffer damage per 10 feet traveled. And then you cast the Detect City spell, which has a radius of 120 miles when you cast it at 12th level. So effectively, you throw everybody in the area 120 miles to the outside of the ring, dealing maximum falling damage.
Jeez.
And those are the silly builds you could make in the 3rd edition, although this is 4th edition, is pretty silly as well.
Yeah, right now I'm in the one game I'm playing, that Bugbear I mentioned has Polar Master as a fighter and with a Bugbear, so he's got 15 feet of reach, which means that anyone who even just like walks by me is getting whacked.
Yeah, because it's an opportunity attacks, right?
Yeah. Polar Mastery is.
But yeah, I mean, when you talk 15 feet, you're talking like an 8x8 square. Like you got range at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are the really technical, funny builds, I think.
Yeah. The term for what was happening in there and with your 3rd edition spell combo, I'm not going to use the normal term I use, but I call it logic screwing to get what you want.
Yeah.
Because you just sit and you're like, okay, hold on. Just sit down. I'm going to read you this list and tell you how I'm going to do it. And by the time you get done with it, the DM's like, I give up. All right, yeah.
You
win.
Rules as intended versus rules as written, though.
No one would allow that in his campaign because it's just too silly, of course. But it's technically possible, but it doesn't mean you have to do it, right?
Technically right is the best kind of right.
Technically right. Yeah. So shove off. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the last one. Leslie says, I made a changeling grammar bard and then found out the entire campaign was a big dungeon crawl.
It helps to know what you're playing before you get in there.
Yeah, so I love these kind of small comments where you really feel the hurt.
Yeah, but EM should have stated his intentions for the campaign, but
this goes wrong on a totally different level than was intended, I think. But but I can imagine that you roll up this character and you are, for example, at GaryCon, and you have this cool character, and then you sit down at a table and are really want to enjoy this thing, and then you discover it's a dungeon crawl. So in those cases, I can imagine that those situations arising.
Yeah.
Well, spoiler for GaryCon is if you sit down at a dungeon crawl at GaryCon, you're probably going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because as intended, right?
Oh yeah, especially those old school guys. Like we were doing an event, and Stephen Porcorny was talking. He's the creator of Dwarven Forge, and somebody was mentioning that they're running a 12-hour event at GaryCon, and he pops in. He says, "Wait, characters can live that long?" It's like for the old school guys, that was their thing.
Yeah.
To kill people off real fast.
Yeah, I think they made a reference to that as well in the Rick and Morty comic, where Morty wants to Morty wants to play Dungeons and Dragons, and Rick takes him to a table with all kind of old guys, and his character keeps dying in the first room.
Yep.
So funny. Yeah. And then the last one for the day says, I once made a 3.5 character and applied every single template to it. It was pretty much unplayable, hilarious, but unplayable. I put that one in for Eric because this sums up what can happen in 3.5 edition games. But in the end, it's funny, but unplayable and stupid to do, really. Yeah. So that in a way brings us to the end of our main topic. What did you think of it, Mike?
I think it's great. I love silly builds because it's just, for me, I mean, I can't take myself seriously, so I love having fun and just doing weird things, and it's always fun when people are willing to go along with you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, people, we're nearing the end of the show, where we talked about us going to GaryCon, which we are very proud of. We'll be there on the 28th of March. And shall I do the big screen once more? And put up...
Yeah. Just show.
Put up the thingy. There's a thingy. Let's put on that one. We are very proud to be there, and we are going to have a lot of fun being there, right, Roger?
Probably. Well, I will.
Yeah. We had community champion Mike on our stream. The name he hates, but he does a great job at it.
It's an honorific. It's
honorific, yeah. And we are giving away a couple of tickets as well. Or, you have to do something for it, which will be shown on the screen right now. We had a lot of fun talking about the silliest builds. And we heard a lot of things about GaryCon from Mike. And I'm really glad you could come on our show and talk about that stuff, because as you said at the start, we all like to talk about Dungeons and Dragons when we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons. And hearing these kinds of stories really inspire me, in the sense that I'm hearing something new about our heroes, in a way. Yeah.
Well, actually, I might have one short story for you that we were talking about names that you have to accept whether you like them or not. Mm-hmm. We're familiar with the name Melf, as in Melf's Magic Meteors and Melf's Acid Arrows.
Yeah.
That's Luke Gygax's character from when he was young, and there's a story that I'd have to double check with him, that it came from the fact he had to pick up a character to play it, and he didn't have a name, so he looked down, and it was gender, male or M, race elf. So he's like, Melf? And my guess is it was one of those things where, like, it was a joke at first, and then it stuck, and then you're just stuck with it, and the next thing you know, it's 40, 50 years later, and there's spells named for a joke that happened at your table.
Yeah. Well, it happens more in D&D campaigns. So people come up with a silly name, and somehow that silly name can become the most impressive thing in that world. And
yeah, that's why I have to embrace the community champion, because I'm stuck with it.
Yeah. It's
true.
not as far as titles go. It's not. It doesn't sound as boring as community manager or.
I like to think I defeated all the other people in an arena battle to be the best community champion.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. That's one way to look at it.
You've won gold, sir.
Sorry to derail you there with that.
No that's totally okay. That's how our show ends, with another quarter of an hour of talking. So, as always, yeah. No, but really fun show. Different somewhat, I think, and inspiring.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed listening to the stories. And,
well, I mean,
something else.
Listen to the old timers when they tell stories, and I could listen to them for hours because, man, they're amazing.
But listening to you talking about listening to the old timers was fun as well. It might be a gateway drug or something. Yeah.
Now there are people watching us listening to Mike, who's listening.
Wow, meta.
How far down does the rabbit hole go?
Yeah, not so far. Yeah. Chat has been great as well. Thank you so much. I will go on to one last screen where we will tell you what the next topic will be on Talking Void. For now, we don't have a special guest, but the thing is that this question came from the community, and that's what I love as well. So the next question will be: what was the coolest faction, guild, cult, or similar thing that you ever encountered in an adventure? Quite different from the previous ones, I think. But I like it. And I'm eager to know what your answers will be when. So go into our media and give us your answers. The question will be up, well, somewhere next week, I think. And give us your input, and we'll talk about it on Talking Void.
Will be your guest, your regular guest.
My guest will, I think, be Jin. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, so that's always quite relaxed. Let's sit back and just enjoy the melody. After all, music soothes even the savage beast.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to the cacao in a way. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Cacao.
Yeah.
Mike, thanks for having you on once again.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And is it Monday yet? Oh man, now I'm going to mix it up. See you all. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Thanks for watching, and see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.